+90 plus 80 plus 95 plus 87 equals... ulit. 90 plus 80 plus...
Wow! Sipag mo na ba? Kahit Sabado nag-aaral ka? Ano ba yung naaral mo?
Wala, may kinukompute lang ako.
Para ka na si Kuya Mike ah. Math geek ka na rin?
Ada, hindi ako math geek. Gusto ko lang talaga ang math.
Uy, Neb, may problema ba?
Wala, kasi baka matanggal na ako sa top 10 ng class ngayon eh.
Ha? Imposible, no? Kitang-kita ko lahat ng effort mo.
Paano mo naman nasabi na matatanggal ka?
Kasi bumaba yung grades ko, tapos... nakita ko na yung class card ko.
So yun ba yung kinocompute mo?
Oo, Kuya Mike. Sa ngayon, nasa top 10 na ako ng class. Kaya kinakabahan na ako kasi baka mamaya... matanggal na ako sa top 10. Kasi bumaba na yung grades ko. Kaya ngayon, kinocompute ko yung scores ko.
Mukhang may math problem si Neb ah.
Naku, parang alam ko na yung susunod dyan.
Math matters! Isa ito sa pinaka-useful na pag-aralan, ang measures of central tendency and measures of variation or dispersion or an application of statistics. Central tendency refers to that numerical value in the central region of a distribution of scores. It is the central point around at which values in a distribution assemble. There are three measures of central tendency. These are the mean, which is the part of the distribution around which the values balance, the median, which provides the necessary information about the value of the middle position in the distribution, and the mode, which means the score with the highest frequency. At this point, meron na tayong hypothesis.
Hypothesis? Wow! Such a big word!
At ang ibig sabihin nun ay assumption.
So ang hypothesis or assumption natin ay, with Neb's grades, makakapasok kaya siya sa top 10?
Tama ka, Ada. At kung negative naman, ang assumption, tinatawag naman itong null hypothesis.
So, null hypothesis ay yung hindi ako makapasok sa top 10?
Na imposibleng mangyari. Take note.
I agree, Ada. Well, ang next step natin ay tinatawag na data gathering.
Data gathering? Paano naman natin gagawin yan, Kuya Mike?
Madali lang. Patingin ang grades mo.
Nakakahiya, pero...
Para matahimik ka, Neb, let's do this. Ilista natin lahat ng grades mo sa bawat subject. Tada! Okay, let's do this! To get the general average of Neb's performance in class, we need to get the mean. But since we are computing for the academic grade of Neb, we need to consider the number of units per subject, which we call weighted mean or average. Mean indicates a point around which the values in the distribution balance. The computation of mean is very simple in such a way that we simply add up all the scores in a distribution and divide by the total number of values. Weighted average grade. Subjects do not have the same weight or units. Yung mga subjects na 2 units, their value is double compared dun sa mga 1 unit subject. In simple terms, mean is the average. Right now, Neb has 10 units. So we will add all his scores Again, ang subjects na may 2 units ay twice din ang value.
Nauna ako! Ang average ni Neb ay 90.2.
Good! Ngayon naman, we will get the median. Median. It is the value in the distribution which divides an arranged either ascending or descending distribution into 2 equal parts. We use the median when we want to know the value in which half of the scores are more extreme and half are less extreme. So ngayon, na-arrange natin ang data mula sa pinakamababa hanggang sa pinakamataas. The arrangement of data in this manner is called an array. At ang middle value ang tinatawag na median.
Okay, madali lang pala eh.
Tingnan mo, ang baba ng grade mo sa PE, oh. Lampa talaga tong best friend ko.
Hindi ako lampa, no? Mahilig lang talaga ako sa indoors.
Mukha nga. Tingnan mo, ang taas ng grade mo sa home economics, oh.
Sige nga, pakita mo nga class card mo nang magkaalaman na.
Oo, mamaya magkapikunan kayong dalawa, ha? Meron tayong isang 85, isang 87, isang 88, apat na 90, isang 92, at dalawang 95. Kung 9 sana ang data natin, ang 5th data na ang median. Kaso, 10 ang data natin. It is an even number. Ibig sabihin, to get the median, we have to get the average of the middle data, which are the 5th and 6th numbers or subject. Di ba alam niyo na kung paano kumuha ng average?
So, 90 plus 90 divided by 2, di 90 pa rin.
Very good, Neb! Now to get the mode. Dahil meron na tayong data, madali na tong kunin. Simply put, mode is the number with the largest frequency.
Ang mode natin ay 90. Kasi Neb got a score of 3 90s out of 8 subjects. And that's 4 out of 10 units.
Very good! Fast learner talaga kayong dalawa.
Siyempre naman, mana kami sa'yo eh.
Asus ng bola pa! O siya, ngayon naman ang gagawin natin ay kunin ang measures of variation or dispersion.
Okay, Kuya Mike, ano ba yung measures of variation or dispersion? At bakit ito ang kailangan natin i-compute?
Measures of variant or dispersion. It is important to measure the degree of the spread of the values. The measures of spread are commonly termed as measures of dispersion or measures of variation. There are 5 measures of variation that will be discussed, namely the range, the quartile deviation, the mean deviation, the variance, and the standard deviation. Range. In the measures of central tendency, the mode provides us a quick way of determining a central value. In measures of variation, it is the range which gives us the quickest measure. The range is simply defined as the difference between the highest score and the lowest score. Sa pamamagitan ng measures of variation or dispersion, malalaman natin ang tinatawag na spread of values. In this case, kung gaano kalaki ang difference ng grades mo per subject at ang difference ng lowest grade mo compared to your highest score.
Ah, ganun pala. So, let's get to work.
Based sa data natin, to get the range, we will subtract the lowest score of Neb na 85 from his highest score na 95.
Ah, simple lang pala. At ang range ay 10.
Pero, there's another reliable way to measure variability o pagkakaiba-iba ng values. And these are quartile deviation and mean deviation. Quartile deviation or interquartile range. It is the difference between the 75th percentile or Q3 and the 25th percentile or Q1. The interquartile range is more reliable measure of variability. Our formula is IQR equals Q3 minus Q1. you can think of Q1 as the median in the lower half of the data, and the Q3 as the median in the upper half of the data. Step 1. Let's put all the numbers in order. 85, 87, 88, 90, 90, 90, 90, 92, 95, and 95. Step 2. We'll make a mark at the center para hatiin sila into two groups using weighted average grade. 85, 87, 88, 90, 90, 90, 90, 92, 95, and 95. Q1 is equal to 88. Q3 is equal to 92. The median is equal to 90.
Using the formula 92 minus 88, our interquartile range is 4.
Very good, Ada. Tama ka na naman. Ngayon, I will introduce another measure of variation, ang average deviation. The mean deviation is a measure of variation that makes use of all the scores in a distribution. This is more reliable than the range and the quartile deviation. Simply put, mean deviation is the mean distances of each score or grade from their mean. Step 1. Find the mean. Based sa computation natin kanina, ang mean is 90.2. Step 2. Find the distance of each score from the mean. Step 3. Find the mean of those distances. Mean deviation is equal to 5.2 plus 3.2 plus 2.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 1.8 plus 4.8 plus 4.8. Divide all these by 10. This will be equal to 22.8 divided by 10. And the mean deviation will be 2.28. Now that we have our mean deviation, we will be able to get our variance and standard deviation. The variance and the standard deviation. The variance and standard deviation are the most practical and commonly used measures of variation. The standard deviation allows us to immediately compare the spread of different sets of scores and enable us to interpret the scores of a given set of data. The variance is defined as the quotient of the sum of the squared deviation from the mean divided by n minus 1, while the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Variance is equal to s squared. Using the same data we have above, we will get the variance of each distance from the mean. From there, we will be able to get the average. S squared is equal to 27.04, 10.24, 4.84, 0.04, 0.04, 0.04, 0.04, 3.24, 23.04, 23.04, all divided by 10, equals 91.6 divided by 10. And the s squared will be 9.16.
So Kuya Mike, parang inulit lang natin yung computation natin for mean deviation. But this time, we had to multiply the data by themselves.
Tama ka dyan, Neb.
Bakit ba natin kailangan kunin yung variance na yan?
Kailangan natin kunin ang variance para makuha natin ang standard deviation, which is a square root of our variance. And now that we got our standard deviation, which is 3.03, which is relatively small since standard deviation allows us to immediately compare the spread of different set of scores, masasabi natin ngayon na malalapit lang ang scores ng grades ni Neb.
Paano?
Simple lang. We need to add and subtract the value of our standard deviation 3.03 from our mean 90.2 so that we can get the average of Neb's grades.
So, 87.17 up to 93.23 ang range ng grades ni Neb.
Very good, Ada. And from there, makakagawa na tayo ng conclusion and recommendation. Kayo, ano-ano ang observation nyo sa mga ginawa naming computation?
Kung titingnan natin ang mga scores ni Neb, mas madami siyang matataas na scores kaysa sa mabababa.
Magandang observation yan. Ano pa?
Okay Kuya Mike, ang observation ko naman, hindi nagkakalayo yung scores ko from each other. Malaki lang ang difference ng lowest score ko from my highest score.
Very good observation, Neb. From that, ano ngayon ang conclusion natin base sa mga observation na yan?
Ang conclusion at recommendation ko ay mag-exercise ka ba, Neb? Para tumaas ang grade mo sa PE.
Ganun na. Ha, ha, ha. Ako na malaki dyan.
Joke lang!
Ikaw, Kuya Mike, ano ang recommendation at conclusion mo?
Ako pa ba? Siyempre. Ready ako dyan. So, ang conclusion ko ay katulad din naman ng sa inyo. Una, given that the average grade needed to be in the top 10 of the class is 88%, Neb's average of 90.2% secures his place at the top 10. Diba? Pangalawa, hindi magkakalayo ang grades mo sa isa't isa, which indicates na pare-pareho ang amount of time na inilalaan mo sa bawat subject. Ayusin mo lang yung PE. At pangatlo, based on our computation of standard deviation, you have one subject below average, PE. And you have one subject naman above average, math. But since 2 units ang math, it means mas madami ang subjects mo na above average ang grade kesa sa below average. Diba? O, ito naman ang recommendations ko. Una, kailangan mong mag-focus sa subjects na bababa ang score. Pangalawa, make sure na hindi magkakalayo ang difference ng grades mo per subject. So maintain your study habits. Like today, Saturday, nag-aaral ka pa. Very good. Pangatlo, for subjects na 2 units like math and science, mas maigi kung mas madami pang time ang ilalaan mo for them to keep your good grades. It's good though na ang math mo is your subject with the highest score since 2 units nga ito, which is equivalent to 2 subjects. And lastly, Neb, siguraduhin mo lang na mas marami kang mas matataas na grades kesa sa mabababa, and for sure, hindi ka mawawala sa top 10.
Ayos! Medyo napanatag ang loob ko dun Salamat Kuya Mike! The best ka talaga!
Wala yun. Madali kasi kayong turuan.
Aba, Neb! Ikaw ba yan?
Bakit? Maglalaro kami ni Kuya Mike ng basketball.
Kailan ka ba nag-basketball?
Ano ka ba? Lahat ng 3 points ko para sa'yo, Ada.
Kung mga 3 points ka, kulala.
Sabi kasi ni Neb, sasama daw siya sa akin para naman tumaas yung grade ko sa PE. O tara, Neb.
Kayo, gusto niyo sumama?
Basta huwag niyong kalilimutan na i-exercise ang math muscles dahil
Math matters!